welcome back then guys to part 2 of my feet foundation chapter. Now I'm hoping you've had a good go at doing the pen pickups, you've been practicing thinking of your foot as a tripod, and you've also been having a go at making sure you're driving the knees out to create that stable base. So hopefully that means you're now going to be more aware of what your feet are doing and building on the foundations. So if you are struggling still and you've already had a go at doing the pen pickups, if you haven't done it that many times, don't worry, pause this video, go back and have another go for a few more days and really make sure you've got to grips with the exercises. And if you are still struggling and maybe your feet are starting to still want to collapse inwards or your knees want to go inwards as you squat, the next couple of exercises are really going to help that out, as it's all to do with your balance and proprioception. So let's get into the first exercise. Again, nice and simple, and it does what it says on the tin, single leg balance. And with this, what you want to do is make sure you're on a really flat surface. So I mean, you could even, with this picture obviously I'm doing it in a yoga mat, and to make it even easier you could just take that yoga mat away and just do it on like a flat laminate surface. So what you want to do is just literally assume what they call, I think in like Pilates or something, is like the crane position, and it is basically just trying to balance for as long as you can. Now again, it looks easier than it can actually be, so have a few goes. I mean, you can practice it with having like a chair by you or a table just so you can like reach out and put your hand on just to steady yourself. And I mean, a good kind of ballpark figure is to go for about 30 seconds, and then what you want to do is, when you can manage 30 seconds, slowly start increasing the time again to the ballpark figure where you really want to be is comfortably able to balance like this for about 2 minutes. And what you can do, there is also another variation of this. Some people can find one or the other easier. The other version is nothing too much more strenuous, and that is double leg balance. And again, it's just one foot in front of the other. Sometimes you can find your more dominant foot likes to be at the front or likes to be at the back, so some people kind of prefer switching it around a bit. But have a go again, same principle applies, just doing it on a nice flat surface to begin with, and then just trying to get to 30 seconds, and then just slowly building it up. Now, once you get to the magic 2-minute mark, again, what I left out for the first exercise is, you can do it for both, is start changing what surface you're doing it on. So like I said, you could take the yoga mat away and do it on a complete laminate surface to begin with, and then you could either do what I've done there, put a yoga mat down, or you can increase the difficulty on top of that. You can put like a big pillow or cushion down, which obviously changes the surface, makes you kind of your ankles and that work again. So when you do get to 2 minutes and you do then start adding kind of more difficult surface areas, don't worry about suddenly not being able to manage 2 minutes. Set it right back again and start aiming for the magic 30 seconds. And if you really want to advance it, you can actually get a couple of things called like a wobble board or wobble cushion, and they only probably cost about £5 to £10. You can get them relatively cheap off something like Amazon, and that really then increases the difficulty of the surface area and makes the balancing really, really hard. So if you want a challenge, that is kind of where you want to aim. But then, like I said, in previous exercises, try and do this as often as you can. For example of this with my clients, what I've said to them to try and do is, this is if you are quite comfortable doing it to begin with, so don't start trying to do it straight off the bat, is maybe when you're brushing your teeth or something like that, or you're waiting for the kettle to boil, you can have a go at doing these exercises, because like I said, habits are all about trying to fit them in to your normal day. So now we've kind of covered how you have to think of your foot like a tripod, things you've got to do to help build your arches, so the pen pickups, and how you improve your balance. My last piece of the puzzle for how you set your feet as the foundation is how exactly you set your feet up to then squat down for a body weight squat. Now, hopefully, if you were to stand up now and do a body weight squat, your feet kind of positioning for that would look like this, with a dead ahead. And this is actually correct for the bodyweight squat, as you should still be able to drive your knees outwards, and that should perfectly allow your body and your pelvis to drop down, and so you've given your room to do a nice bodyweight squat. Now, sometimes people think they need to have their feet pointing outwards, and if it is a weighted squat, that is true. You should be looking for like a 30-35 degree angle to point your feet out so you can comfortably squat down. So that's the two last pieces of the puzzle of how you're squatting. But a little test for you is, when squatting, how far apart should your feet actually be for a normal body weight squat? So I'll let you pause the video for a second and have a think. And this is kind of a trick question, just to see if you're kind of paying attention to what the pictures were showing and stuff like that. So hopefully you've unpaused it now, and the answer is your feet should be roughly about shoulder width apart. Obviously, again, like I said, I'm focusing on just like the body weight squat and the main weighted back squat. For other kind of squats and maneuvers, sometimes you can have your feet wider apart, but as a general rule of thumb, you should have your feet shoulder width apart. But that's it for the very last video for my feet as a foundation course. The next video is going all about ankle mobility and how you assess what range of movement you have, and then going into the fun part of how you then go about improving that.